Progress Test 1. Listening. Listen to an interview with Helen Parker, a training and development consultant. Choose the best answer, A, B, or C, to the questions below.
How does a company know what kind of training it needs?
That's a good question. In fact, a lot of managers think that their teams need training in teamwork, and a lot of employees think their managers need training. The hardest thing for any organisation to see is what they don't know. If you don't know something, if you don't know what's missing, how can you ask for it?
I think I see what you mean. So how do you go about figuring out what sort of training to give?
I always go through a needs analysis process. This usually means I visit and observe a company for a few days. Sometimes I get them to do some activities that help me evaluate their values and understand their team dynamic.
What sort of things do you do?
Sometimes I give groups of people case studies to work on. A case study usually presents a problem or a dilemma in an organisation. There's no one correct answer or solution to these problems, but it's always very interesting to see people's reactions. Sometimes, for example, people get really emotional and I can see what people are sensitive about.
What else do you do?
Bridge building and tower building exercises are a good way to see how teams work together.
Could you explain those?
Well, I give teams some basic supplies like cardboard and glue, and I ask them to build something, a tower or a bridge, to certain specifications in a limited period of time. It's a good way to observe how leadership works, how people communicate, and so on. I've found that team dynamics are pretty much the same whether people are playing a game or doing their job.
Once you've seen a company in action, what happens next?
Most of the time, I set up coaching programs, and sometimes I organise mentoring.
What's the difference between coaching and mentoring?
Both are ways of working closely with people to improve skills that they already have. I usually arrange coaching for a fairly short period of time. Mentoring is a much longer-term process, and it tends to require a relatively long-term investment by the person. Someone already within the company who's doing the mentoring, and obviously it takes a lot of commitment from the person who's being mentored.